Hey, architecture firm owners and emerging leaders. Get ready for unparalleled insight into the development of a world-class architecture firm and a worldwide organization driving the digital transformation of the design and construction industry. With Build Smart, the podcast that's changing how our profession operates. We share the incredible stories behind innovation in the building industry with my friend and co-host, Patrick McLeamy, FAIA, former CEO of the international architecture firm, HOK.
You know, Yamasaki's office or firm lasted during his lifetime. And when he passed away, I think that was the end of the Yamasaki office. Helmut did not want that. He wanted a firm that would live out and grow beyond the founders.
In Season 1, discover the untold stories behind HOK's meteoric rise, from 150 employees in St. Louis to a powerhouse with over 1,900 staff members and 27 offices worldwide.
You know, they weren't as polite as the Kojima people. That was just boom. And anytime you have a creditor, whether it's Kojima or the bank, that wants their money, unless you can raise money someplace else, you are out of business.
Bankrupt. And hold on tight for Season 2, where Patrick takes us on a new adventure as chairman of Building Smart International, shaping the future of digital transformation in the design, construction, and operation of built assets.
Ian Howell, Ken Harold, and I, Ken was my technical representative from HOK. The three of us took a tour of Europe of 5 cities in 5 days. Very busy time.
Simply follow the link in the show notes to subscribe to Build Smart now and uncover lessons that will transform you and your architecture firm. Hey, architecture firm owners and emerging leaders. Get ready for unparalleled insight into the development of a world-class architecture firm and a worldwide organization driving the digital transformation of the design and construction industry. With Build Smart, the podcast that's changing how our profession operates. We share the incredible stories behind innovation in the building industry with my friend and co-host, Patrick McLeamy, FAIA, former CEO of the international architecture firm, HOK.
You know, Yamasaki's office or firm lasted during his lifetime. And when he passed away, I think that was the end of the Yamasaki office. Helmut did not want that. He wanted a firm that would live out and grow beyond the founders.
In Season 1, discover the untold stories behind HOK's meteoric rise, from 150 employees in St. Louis to a powerhouse with over 1,900 staff members and 27 offices worldwide.
You know, they weren't as polite as the Kojima people. That was just boom. And anytime you have a creditor, whether it's Kojima or the bank, that wants their money, unless you can raise money someplace else, you are out of business.
Bankrupt. And hold on tight for Season 2, where Patrick takes us on a new adventure as chairman of Building Smart International, shaping the future of digital transformation in the design, construction, and operation of built assets.
Ian Howell, Ken Harold, and I, Ken was my technical representative from HOK. The three of us took a tour of Europe of 5 cities in 5 days. Very busy time.
Simply follow the link in the show notes to subscribe to Build Smart now and uncover lessons that will transform you and your architecture firm. My name is Mark R. LePage, and you are listening to Entre Architect Podcast, where each week I speak with inspiring, passionate people who share their knowledge and expertise, all to help you build a better business as a small firm entrepreneur architect. Brian Messana, welcome to Entre Architect Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. What a pleasure.
It's great to have you here. We just chatted a little bit before we started recording, and I think we're clicking already. So I'm looking forward to having this conversation and learning a little bit more about you and your firm and the things that you're doing. Let me introduce you. Brian Messana is an architect based in New York City, founded in 1996. by Brian and Toby O'Rorke. Messana O'Rorke is renowned for crafting spaces of sublime restraint and ethereal beauty. Brian trained under architects Richard Meier, Thomas Phifer, Hani Rashid, Peter Marino, working on projects including the Canal Headquarters in Paris, the Museum of Contemporary Art in Barcelona, the Christian Dior Paris flagship, and several others. I'm looking forward to this conversation, Brian. I'm thinking that you and I are very much on the same page in terms of building small firms and focusing on the business and sharing our knowledge with one another and sharing our knowledge with other architects. And so I'm excited about that. But before we get into the conversation about what you do and how you do it, I'd love to know where you came from. When did you discover your passion for architecture, and what or who inspired you to get started as a?
Well, I think I was really lucky. I have always wanted to be an architect. My father, who is now 86, had his own design firm, interior design firm, for 40 plus years. So I grew up in it. I was fascinated by, the first thing I remember is going to his office, and I was fascinated by the models, the renderings. For some reason, very into the storage room where all the pencils and erasers were.
Yeah.
I can still smell, like those, like we don't have that kind of smell anymore in offices.
Right. Exactly.
All you hear is like click, 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 click. But I love the desks and sort of the rolling of the T-bars and all that stuff. And it was really fascinating to me. And so I would start to accompany him we're talking like probably 7, 8, 9 years old first doing this, and then going to visit sites with him. And then we were very fortunate. He's Italian. He immigrated when he was 16 and put himself through school and went to Pratt and a few other schools. And he eventually had our house built in Los Angeles. And it was just an amazing experience because we would visit it every weekend, and I'd watch the whole process of it being built and, meeting the contractors. And I was just fascinated. So as growing up in the area that I was growing up, there was always some sort of construction going on. So I would always visit the sites. And
was that when you learned about architecture? Because you said your dad had a design firm, interior designer. When did you discover that there was a profession called architecture and what an architect did? Do you remember that moment and what inspired you? Or was it just sort of intuitive through sort of experiencing your everyday life?
Well, I think it was a combination of things. So I think with the house that we grew up in was very architect, because he designed the whole house. So from exterior to interior, and he would build models. And but I knew who like Frank Lloyd Wright was. We were exposed to, when we were on vacation, I remember going to Death Valley and going to a place called Scotty's Castle, which was this amazing house in the middle of the desert. I also remember being like in awe of going to visit Hearst Castle and discovering Julie Morgan and all the pieces that William Randolph Hearst collected to create this amalgamated architecture for his estate. So I understood the difference between, I said the difference, but I understood both the difference and the similarities between interior and architecture. And I think, actually, now that I'm saying all this, that I feel like that interior exposure and education has made me what I am, in terms of like our work in the office here is like 90% these days of interior architecture, just by being located in New York City.
Right.
But coupled with that background, I really think that our office really is infatuated with both interior space and exterior space. um, which I think is really important for both architects and interior designers to understand both sides of the coin.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds like because you were introduced to design and the architecture world so early that it was just always part of your existence. It was always part of your understanding of the world.
Always. And my father actually should have been sort of a set designer because he was always, is always still antsy. And so our house is, because that house that I grew up in, and then they later sold it and renovated another house, but it's constantly, I wouldn't say in flux, but it's either an addition or the change or something. And when I had the good fortune of building my own house, and I remember him coming to it and saying, "Anything new? Have you done anything new?" And I said, "No, it's exactly the same as the day I opened the door and moved in."
Interesting.
It's not. I have I have two younger brothers, and we're all the same. Like we have like master plans, and once the plan is done, it's done.
Right. There's you design it to be finished.
Exactly.
And it's finished and it's finished.
Yeah.
And it's like a work of art. You finished the work of art, and it's, but it sounds like your father reveled and enjoyed the evolution of design. That it's always improving.
Loved it. Loves it. Still loves it.
Yeah.
Still loves it.
Yeah. Interesting. So interesting to hear your origin story, because a lot of architects come to architecture later. Many of them come to it in childhood, but they can pinpoint that moment. Right. Somebody introduced me to an architect and I learned what architecture was.
Right.
But you were introduced to it so early because it was part of your everyday existence that you always knew what it was, and it was just part of who you were.
Part of who I am. And I don't know if sometimes I think that's a great thing, because I could go straight into and go deeper into what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes on the flip side, I think to myself, I really wish I would have, my bachelor degree instead of architecture was in English, so that I could better, both verbally and in writing, articulate what I am trying to accomplish. Because I would say that if I had a weakness, and I don't know if I have the weakness, but I feel like I have the weakness, is that I'm much more of a doer, and my explanations, I feel, are very simple, and I think our work is probably very similar to that. It's just sometimes I'm trying to find deeper meaning, and the reality is that we focus on very elemental aspects of I was going to say design, but more about kind of human experience, and how someone is going to inhabit one of our projects, and then there are sort of timeless elements such as light and shadow and space and scale that I find, if properly and thoughtfully understood and executed for every project, it really doesn't matter whether or not you're a modernist or you're a minimalist or you like Baroque architecture. You just apply those basic fundamentals, and your work is always going to be beautiful and I think lasting in a way.
Yeah. I could see that in your work when I looked at it.
Thank you.
It's beautiful, and it's
thank you.
Beautifully simple, right? And I want to talk about your process and all of that, but I want to continue the story of how you became an architect. So it was always part of you, and so where did you go to school and that process?
So, and again, I'm an open book, so I will let you know. So I always wanted to be an architect. I grew up in Southern California, and at that time, in my mind, there were 3 schools to go to in California, because I was California born and raised. I had no thoughts of like going anywhere else. So it was either Berkeley, which in my mind was more conceptual, and there was Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, which was more pragmatic.
Yeah.
And then there was this fledgling little school called SciArc.
Right. Yeah.
And SciArc was in my backyard. And for some reason, again, I think it's just part of my personality. And I've tried to think about why, but then I also try to think about like, why is coffee ice cream my favorite flavor? Like I don't drink coffee, but for some reason that is my go-to ice cream. And, can I dissect it? And I could, I guess, or maybe I can't. So I've come to realize like I am who I am. And I decided I would go to Cal Poly. Now, apparently my grades weren't fully up to the par when I applied coming out of high school. So I went to a little school called UCLA for 2 years, where I studied general education. And I was like, oh my God, like this is literally hell for me, because I'm in these auditoriums full of people, students. I'm taking these courses. Like I couldn't understand what this had to do with me and my future. And so I always tell everyone I'm a late bloomer. Like I'm always the last person to the party, etc. So this time I decided, okay, I'm going to apply to like a lot of schools. And I did apply to a lot of schools, and I got into all of them this time. And I went to Cal Poly, and I was immediately like, my life clicked. Like everything like made sense. Like I was doing design classes, history of architecture. It just like, oh yeah, this is me. Yeah. And I was on campus for 2 years, and Cal Poly, I want to say, is an amazing school. I'm assuming it still is an amazing school. It was an amazing school when I went there. I mean, the opportunities and the kind of discussions that I remember having with professors, and they're really, really helped inspire me, and I think other students to because we're primarily all from California. There was Northern and Southern, and we met in the middle at Cal Poly. And an unusual school because it's kind of a tech school, but then you're drawing and you look out onto the courtyard, and there's literally one time I remember like a steer like running through, and then two cowboys like trying to get the steer. And I was like, yeah, we're at Cal Poly, and then there's these crazy kind of artsy element as well. So I spent 2 years there, my second and third year. And then they had options. And one of them was to take a summer class or summer school at the École des Beaux-Arts in Fontainebleau. So that was my first time to Europe. And I had been, for some reason, an Anglophile all of my life. I don't know why. I always watched like Sherlock Holmes and, all these English old movies from the 50s and 60s or whatever. And so we touched down in London, and I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. And the scale of the streets, the urban fabric, the buildings, I was just like overwhelmed. It was beyond amazing. And we were there for a week. I went with a bunch of students, and then we crossed over into France, into Paris. And I was like, oh my God, this is the first time I've ever not been able to understand the language. Like I was like, how are we going to get from here to there? So I went to Fontainebleau. I was there at the most amazing time because it was Le Corbusier's centennial. And as a school, which was small, we would get into these buses for 2 weeks, I believe. And I always call it In Search of Corbu. And we went to all over France. And we stayed at La Tourette. We went to Ronchamp. We went to
wow, what an experience.
Everywhere, right? And so my mind kept opening up, right?
Yeah.
I just wanted more and more and more. And I had already organized that after that summer, I would we had a consortium program at Virginia Tech's program in Alexandria, where 6 universities sent about 10 people from each. And again, like here now I went from Europe to DC, which I had never been to the East Coast. So all of a sudden I go from California, which is stick build, track homes, stucco, at best I'm getting Adobe tiled roofs, but now it's like brick architecture. It's like, oh my God, this is crazy. And you could take the subway into DC and see all this amazing art. And it was amazing. So probably like long-winded, but
no, this is what I want to do. I want to understand where you've come from, because it's a fascinating story to have grown up in the family that you've grown up and have that influence, and then go to Cal Poly, then go to Europe. Now in DC, you could start putting all the pieces together, right?
Yes,
and when
yes.
you start looking at what you're doing today, it's very clear how that influence,
right,
where those influences came from. It's very interesting.
Thank you. So I then, from Cal Poly, from Virginia Tech, I spent my last year in Florence studying with Cristiano Tiraldo de Francia, who recently passed away in the last couple of years, and he was a member of Super Studio. And again, so I'm now living in Florence, Italy.
Yeah.
Like 4 bridges from the Ponte Vecchio on the River Arno. And it was amazing. I went to Moscow and Leningrad then. And I was just like, oh my God, where am I? What am I doing? And, I'm Barcelona. It was, again, just my mind keeps expanding. And that's what I still to this day, like anyone who works with us, whether full-time or interns, like I try to encourage as much as possible to experience life, because it's not only good for your soul as a person, but for architecture, for design, because
Right.
you're constantly learning about either what's new or just your understanding of like, oh, this is a space that I like, this is a space I don't like. What elements make a space that makes me feel good? And in fact, a lot of our work, we have a lot of European actually clients, but a lot of people say that when they look at our work, it looks European. And when they say that, I think that they mean like that there's sort of there's an understanding of a space, because we work sometimes in limited spaces, being in New York City. But also, I guess maybe the Europeans' modernism or minimalism is much more, used or acceptable, or in comparison to the United States, where maybe traditional architecture, that sort of Pottery Barn-esque kind of vocabulary, is more the norm.
Right.
Right. So then after Italy, that was my last year. And in fact, I remember giving a lecture at Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo. And so I was only on campus for 2 years. I graduated, but I didn't go to graduation. And they changed the rules. So you can no longer be away your last year. You have to be on campus, which means you can only do one extra curricular off-campus option. And I said that was, and it was because of me, because I really only went on campus for 2 years. But I have to say I turned out okay.
Yeah, I would say for sure. So how did you get to New York? So you're in Virginia.
So in New York, I will put a slight love connection to this, is that Toby and I met at Virginia Tech. He was coming from Oxford Poly. He was studying he was in his, what they call diploma, which is our graduate level. And we met there and we became boyfriends, and he went back to finish his last year. He went back to finish up something. Yeah, his last year. I went back to finish up my summer quarter, and we wanted a place that we both had been to that we felt was amazing and could be a good place to to live, but also we wanted a place neutral from our families, to kind of honestly just to be gay. I mean, both of us, at that in that time, it was scary to us, and this was a kind of a neutral place. And I wanted to work for Richard Meier, so it seemed like a logical place.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like a great place to start to expand all of the experiences that you've had.
Yeah.
Right. And where else better than New York City?
Yeah, and Frank Sinatra said, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. So
right. So how did you start at Richard Meier? Is that I
did. So my story is, and this is pre 9/11. So I had my bar mitzvah money that I took out of my savings account or whatever. I got on a red eye. Toby got on his flight. We met, got this little studio apartment. I built a little portfolio in a week. And then we had been to Barcelona a couple of years before, I think, and bought this book, like the 25 New York architects. And so I knocked on like Stephen Hull's door, Gautham Siegel, Richard Meier.
They were all there.
They were all there. So it's like, so I went into Richard Meier's office, and Tom Phifer hired me. And that was, again, like a dream come true.
Yeah.
Because I had liked his work from the moment I had discovered it in my undergraduate school. And I actually met him. He was building a house near where I lived. And as a funny story, but I thought this could be a Richard Meier house. My schoolmates were on a field trip visiting Morphosis and a few other places. And I said, you know what, let's just go and check it out. And it was on I think a Sunday, and it was all gated up. And this guy came out and said, oh, are you here to see the architect? And I go, sure, we're here to see the architect. And I thought, oh, this would just be like the executive architect, right? Who shows up? It's Richard Meier. And he introduces himself and says, come on in, take a look around, whatever. So yeah, I've had a few, I think in my mind, a few kind of amazing experiences that have occurred that have been pivotal in my life and my career.
So how did you go from Richard Meier to Messana O'Rorke?
So I was at Richards for 18 months, and then I went to Columbia graduate school for a year, the advanced program. So it's 3 semesters in a row. And believe it or not, after graduation, I didn't really want to be an architect. I was like, oh, there's so many so many things I wanted to do. I thought to go back, like, should I apply to NYU's film school? I want to be a director. And it's like, oh, that is, now that I think about it, it's very cliche, like to do that. And
seduced by the city.
Well, seduced by the city, but also like thinking, oh, like there's so much more than just architecture. Like architecture can't necessarily say the things I want to say.
Yeah.
So I worked at this interior design firm in the Lower East Side, and then decided I was going to teach. So I taught at the University of Southwestern Louisiana for a year. And then I came back. I couldn't handle that the Ku Klux Klan were walking about on campus one time.
It's a pretty big shift from New York City.
It was a big shift. But again, great experience, great teaching experience, all of that. So I worked for a few firms, smaller firms for a while, and then at Peter Marino. And I was there for 6 weeks. And a friend of mine who had worked with me at Richard Meier and Partners, she worked in, she was not an architect or a designer. She was working at the front office. She had become the assistant to the creative director of Donna Karan. And through another friend that we had both worked at Richard Meier, he said, oh, call Brian. Maybe he could help you out. So she said, come on in. We may have some work for you. And I thought to myself, oh, this is like, a little project, some night owl, moonlighting kind of stuff. Yeah. So I walked in, and like an hour later, I walked out with an entire store to design in Santiago, Chile. And I went into Peter Marino's office and I quit. That changed the direction of.
Was that the beginning? Was that the beginning?
So that was Messana O'Rorke, and Toby was working at Ralph Lauren in their store design. He stayed there for a year as we got more work from Donna Karen. And I'm really grateful for Donna Karen. I call it design, but it's they had let's say a box of design elements that you would arrange. But for me, I was like, it was at that time they were going for their IPO. Not at the time, but a little bit after. So they were building up their entire inventory of stores. So it was go, 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 go. And we were designing their showrooms in New York and Milan. And it was just like a whole new world. And again, very New York, like, this could only happen in New York. So that was our first client. And when that ended, we were freaked out. But it was the best thing ever because it allowed us to grow and to diversify.
Well, let's take a quick break to say thank you to our sponsors for their support of this episode. This episode is brought to you by FreshBooks. There's a lot to love about being an entrepreneur architect, right? But trying to figure out our financials on our own is not one of those things. Luckily, we have FreshBooks, the all-in-one accounting solution that's built for business owners like us. FreshBooks takes all the not-so-fun parts of running a business, from building and tracking invoices, to managing online payments, to organizing expenses, and automates them with features like the digital bills and a receipt scanner, saving you up to 11 hours a week in the process. It's also super easy to get up and running, and the award-winning FreshBooks support team, they are always available to answer any questions along the way. Compare that to some of the other financial management tools out there. Try FreshBooks for free for 30 days, no credit card required. Go to freshbooks.com/architect to get started today. That's freshbooks.com/architect. So what will you do with 11 more hours each week? This episode is brought to you by arcat.com. We all have that one story, that one project that had such a unique situation that it required a solution that you had rarely considered before. We share these stories in private professional circles with our friends and our colleagues, but there has never been a collection of these stories of conflict and triumph all in one place until now. Detailed is a podcast series that features architects, engineers, builders, and manufacturers who share their insights and expertise as they highlight some of the most complex, interesting, and oddball building conditions that they have ever encountered, and the ingenuity it took to solve them. Join host Charisse Lakeside, aka CSI Kraken, a senior specifications writer at RDH Building Science, as she uncovers lessons learned to help you navigate similar challenges that may arise in your next project. Detailed, an original podcast by ARCAT. Listen and subscribe right now at arcat.com/podcast. That's arcat.com/podcast. arcat.com/podcast. Detailed. Every building has a story. Please visit our sponsors today and thank them. Thank them for supporting you, the EntreArchitect community. When you moved to New York, did you know that you wanted to have your own firm? Was it part of the plan?
So I don't ever have, for some reason, I don't have plans, but I did have, so that was always my plan since I was a kid. I always wanted my own firm. Ever since I went to my dad's first office that he was working at, I thought to myself, so at that office, it was a boutique firm. They did beautiful work. They had their own little, not a restaurant, but they had a cook there. And I thought, this is what I want. Like, I'm very family oriented. So for me, it was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to open my own office. It's going to be this small firm that we're all working together, and we eat together, and we go out together. And so that's,
So you had that vision as a child?
I have that vision as a child.
So it was always part of you. It's like,
Yes.
this is the dream.
Yeah, it was just
So-
a matter of time.
Yeah. Yeah. And so when you had that opportunity with Donna Karan, did you see that? Well, you just said that you didn't really go there thinking that it would be the beginning of your firm.
Yeah, no, I had no idea.
Came out of the office and said, "Hey, it looks like we're starting a firm."
Well, I mean, so because of the scale of the project and the fee that they were giving me, I said, "Oh,
Yeah.
I literally can just stop working, and let's see how this goes." So,
Right.
yeah, that was it.
And when was that? How long ago was that?
1996.
1996. Oh, right. That's how I introduced you. 1996.
Yeah.
So it's grown significantly by then. What's the firm look like today?
So the firm looks good. I say that laughingly because, we're not a huge firm, and I have gone through periods of like feeling insecure about our size, and we have been much larger, but I'm now very happy. We're 4 people, soon to be 5, and we've been really good about trying to focus on the work that we want to work on, and making sure that, when you grow in terms of manpower, you have to, as an business owner, you understand, like, as the machine grows larger, it has a larger appetite,
Right.
and you might not always be able to be as discerning, because unless you want to fluctuate in size all the time. And Toby and I are not that we're not built that way. Like, as I said, we're family. So for us, like, we want someone to invest in us, and we want to invest in that person. So I'm not interested in like, oh, you could be here 3 months, you could be here a year, you could be here for 10 years. I'm trying to build longevity, because security for both of us works better, I think, for both parties.
Yeah. Your portfolio is beautiful. How was that strategic and intentional that you were going to do that type of work and turn away other types of work? Talk about that a little bit. How do you develop a portfolio that is so, from an architect's point of view, it's the dream portfolio, right? It's what architects want, right? That's they want to be able to do that level of design on their projects. And obviously it's also, you're presenting your best work on your portfolio. But Rizzoli also just asked you to do a book,
yes,
right? A monograph.
Yes.
And so it's you obviously have a portfolio that is worthy of a monograph. And so was that, when you started the firm, was that strategic? The reason I'm asking is because there's architects that struggle with that. How do I not do the everyday bread and butter stuff and fill my portfolio with that and not have enough time to do the things that I really want to do? How are you, is there a sacrifice in order to get to that level? Share that a little bit about your thoughts on how you got to where you are design-wise.
So I will briefly say that, so the design style really, or the design ethos really comes from, I think, both of our childhoods. Mine specifically, because I'm talking. I used to be, so back to that Scotty's Castle that I visited in Death Valley. So we would go on trips, family trips, about twice a year, and I would be the kind of person who would collect. Do you know when you go to the motel or the hotel, there's that little kiosk with, like, where you can go horseback riding,
right?
ski.
All the brochures. Yeah.
For some reason, I was just like a pack rat. My room. So I grew up, as I said, I think the 2 younger brothers, all of our rooms were identical. Mine was just full of stuff. And I think it was basically like it was my second to last or my last year of high school. Like, I had this epiphany, and I don't know what it was. I constantly try to think about it, but So my room was, each of our bedrooms were themed, and mine was Western. And I had wood on the walls, I had bunk beds, I had antlers, horseshoes, books, a fish tank. I had everything, and from years and years, and boxes full of stuff. So I threw all that stuff out, took all the wood out, painted it white, put in a gray carpet, white shades, a gray kind of futon that looked like a cartoon of a sofa that you just pull and it became a bed, and like this red lamp and shelves with some books, and that was it.
What inspired you to do that? Was there some moment in your life that sort of said, I don't want all this stuff anymore, I want to go more minimal? There
was, but I can't.
You don't know what it is.
I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
So I will speak about, for both of us, is that visual noise or distraction is something that we're both acutely aware of. Mm-hmm. So the less for us is the better. And not listen, it's not for everyone. Not everyone can either live with that. My thing is also like, I'm a horrible consumer. I don't buy a lot of stuff. I like my stuff to last. And I also, probably, I don't know if you can see it, but there's artwork in the back. I have two places for artwork in this apartment, and I have much more artwork than there's walls for, but I switch them out, and I don't need to have everything out all at once. So my ideas and our idea is really like you kind of heighten and make special things by having less. And also the natural things about space and scale and light for me light is ever changing. So it's timeless. So those spaces are always, like I said, my house is 20 years old now, and it's not a thing I would change about it. So back to the question, which was, how do we grow a business and not take on every single project? Well, the reality is every architect takes on projects that they don't necessarily, I think there's always a point where an architect takes on work that they might not necessarily want to. And that's because obviously if you're an architect who needs to generate an income to sustain their livelihood, then that's what you do. On the other hand, you may take a project because you really think it's going to be amazing, and it could be horrible. But we have over the years, for some reason, I've always wanted to get a book published by Rizzoli. I always wanted to have our work acknowledged. I've always wanted to have it photographed. So it's always been the process, right? Yeah. So every time a project is finished, we put money into the photography, and we hire the photographers who are really good and who are also connected, and not necessarily that meaning that our work is automatically going to get published, but they have the eye to make sure that as best as possible, we're capturing that project in a way that is the most appealing to a particular magazine, for example. But, we've had over the years, I think that exponentially the amount of, no one comes to us to design a French colonial, or whatever. Right. But in the beginning, I think we had the potential of more of that kind of work, but we were able to, because of our overhead was low, and we could, I was going to say the key to really going through that is that keeping your overhead low so that you don't have to take on that kind of work. And then what happened is eventually, as our work kept getting published and it was seen in one way, you would get less calls out of the blue from someone who wanted a Spanish styled house. And really it became, 99% of the time. Now it's 100%. If they send an email now, because no one calls, it's always email. Right. They understand our work. And in fact, we don't even show our portfolio anymore. I don't even have a portfolio anymore. Our Rizzoli book will be our portfolio.
I was going to say now your Rizzoli book will be your your portfolio. Let's talk about that a little bit because we're coming to the end here. You have a Rizzoli monograph coming out in October. It's being released. You can pre-order it now. You could see it at MessanaO'Rorke.com. You can pre-order it there as well. Tell me how that happened. Did that phone call just come out of the blue from?
Completely out of the blue. So I have for years have been dying to have a book published, and we've had several publishers come to us. But those publishers require you to pay money to have your book published. And I felt very uncomfortable with that. And not because I wouldn't have spent the money, but to me it felt like, well, isn't this really just a portfolio that we're designing?
Vanity project
that you're going to, because you have a network, you can distribute it. And it's like, it's like magazines. The magazines you don't pay the magazine to be in the magazine. They decide if your work is of interest, right? So I said, oh, this is not going to work. So, and 3 years ago, an editor had reached out to us and said, oh, you know what? Have you ever thought of being in a book? And said, yeah, of course. And he said, well, let's think about it. And that process was taking a while. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, Rizzoli sends me an email saying, oh, we're interested in publishing a book. Would you like to have breakfast? And I said, sure. And I even offered to pay, and they said, oh, no, we've got this. So I was like, that was just happened before COVID. I think it was October before COVID. Yeah. And the book project has taken over 2 years. It's been a long process, much like designing a project, but a little more stressful because so many things. Like, it's a real cathartic process of like going through the history of the office and remembering the projects, the people, deciding what gets edited in and what gets edited out. We narrowed it down to 25 projects representing our first 25 years. And it was also a balance between built work and unbuilt work, which we thought was really important. And that was an item that was discussed with Rizzoli and our editor, Mayor Russ, Mayor Russ was actually the first editor to ever publish our work in Interior Design magazine. So in the end, we kind of thought like this is sort of a full circle book. Like we came back to the people that we started with. Tom Phifer was incredibly gracious and is writing the foreword, or wrote the foreword. I'm really, we're extremely thankful for everyone who's been involved with our office and made everything possible. Because without them, without the clients, without our employees, our collaborators, our consultants, our builders, like it really takes, when you're a small business, you realize like how much effort it takes to get something built. Yeah. And you wear many hats. But I am still super excited to wake up in the morning and to see what's next on the horizon, or what's going to pop up and either make me incredibly happy or catch me by surprise. But having the book, I feel sort of like I sort of feel like that thing when someone drops the mic at the end, I'm done.
But you're not done.
I'm not done. So luckily, as an architect, I feel like I won't be done until I am done. And so this, they often say like, at least when I was a student, like they would say, you're not really hitting your stride until you're 50. So I'm 56, and I feel like we're just beginning. Yeah.
Well, there's some foreshadowing when you described the book. You said it is documenting the first 25 years of the firm, right, which essentially means there's going to be a second 25 years of the firm. And Rizzoli books very often come out with volumes.
Yes.
So
Yes. So yeah, I'm so happy. I mean, the book was designed by Joseph Logan, and I'm hoping. Again, it was very cathartic. You're nervous about like, oh my God, this is going out now. This is people are going to see it. What are they going to think? And but I'm super happy. We're super happy.
Yeah, I mean, understanding and hearing your origin story and all the experiences that you've had, it sounds to me from hearing your story that it was all part of the vision, right? That you had that vision of having that studio, and maybe it wasn't conscious, maybe it was conscious, but sort of having that dream. You had mentioned before we started recording that in architecture school you would find yourself in the library flipping through Rizzoli monographs. Yep. And a lot of us architects have done that, right? I've done that. I've done the same thing, and I've had my collection of Rizzoli monographs, and it was part of the time that you and I went to school. It was, I don't know if it's the same way today, but I know that it was a critical part of our education and our experience. Becoming architects is experiencing and being inspired pre-internet by Rizzoli monographs. And so it's really exciting to hear your story, to hear your whole story, and to see how it evolved to where you are today. And I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes in the next 25 years.
Thank you. Just my last couple of words is like, I think it's not that I didn't have a plan. So I had goals. I didn't have a plan. I throw something out way in front of me and I figure out how to get to it. So I didn't know how I was going to get a Rizzoli book, or I didn't know how I was going to open up a store. An office, but you just make it happen. Yeah.
Well, I think there's a huge power in vision, whether it's written down or not.
I agree.
It's a big part of succeeding. Right, is to look at what your life could be, and whether you document it. And I recommend architects document it, write it down, so you have something to look at and be your guide.
Yes.
But for those of us who can see that future, and then actively, with each decision you make, is this leading us towards that vision or not? Yep. And that's how you end up with a portfolio that Rizzoli rings your doorbell.
Right.
That's how it happens, is that you have that vision and you work towards it, and you say no to the things that are not part of that vision. It's very intentional whether you write it down or not. So
I agree.
It's exciting to hear your story, and I'm looking forward to seeing where you go next.
Thank you. I do too.
Before we go, I want to ask you the one question that I ask everybody, and it's
sure.
And I didn't warn you about this, but it's an easy question. What's one thing that a small firm architect can do today to build a better business for tomorrow?
I think key is understanding what you would like to accomplish, and being very open and giving in our community in terms of being able to develop a network so that you are part of this architecture design community, so that you are giving assistance and you are taking assistance to better your practice, better design, better someone else's practice. Because I think community is really, really important. And we need, I think as a profession, we need to be much more open about that.
Yeah,
that's what I would think.
I agree. If you're not part of our Entree Architect community, I think you'd fit right in. We have a Facebook group with 8,000 architects in it, private group, and it's focused on architects helping other architects.
All right,
and
great.
So it's entrearchitect.com/group. It'll lead you to a Facebook group that's a private group.
Okay.
And we'd love you to be part of it. So if you're interested.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
His name is Brian Messana. It's MessanaO'Rorke.com is the website. Go check it out. The book information on the book, Building Blocks, is there. It's being released on October 25th, 2022. You can pre-order it right now. So go to MessanaO'Rorke.com. It'll be right there on the homepage, and click pre-order. It's beautiful. And you should check out the website as well, MessanaO'Rorke.com. Brian, thank you for sharing your story here today at Entree Architect Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
If you liked this episode of Entre Architect Podcast, please share a rating, write a review, go write a review. I would love to know what you think of this podcast, and it helps other architects find us. So go do 5-star rating if you like it, share, write a review. I'd love it. And share a link to this episode with a friend, because that's how we've grown. That's how Entre Architect has grown to serve thousands of architects throughout the world, just like you. Thank you to our sponsors, ARCAT and FreshBooks, for their support of this episode. I ask you to support them because they support us. And if they're supporting us, they're supporting you. So go support them. Got it? Go support our sponsors. Links to our sponsors, so you can click on those links and go right to them. Links to our sponsors and all the resources we shared today are available at the show notes for this episode at entrearchitect.com/podcast. All the shows are there. entrearchitect.com/podcast. Entre Architect is a member of the Gable Media Podcast Network. Gable Media is curated thought leadership for an audience dedicated to building a better world. Listen and subscribe to all the shows. I think there are 11 of them there now. Go there, gablemedia.com. That's GABL media.com. And I hope you're going to join us in Austin November 1st through November 3rd, 2022. Those are the dates for the Entre Architect Community Annual Meeting, our first ever live and in-person conference for you, the small firm architect community. Visit entrearchitect.com/annual meeting right now to learn more. That's entrearchitect.com/annual meeting, and I will see you in Austin in November. Don't miss this. This is going to be great. entrearchitect.com/annual meeting. It's a conference for you, small firm architects. Thank you for listening today to this episode of Entre Architect Podcast. Love, learn, and share what you know.
Imagine earning continuing education credits while doing exactly what you're doing right now. Well, you can. Gable Media has revolutionized the way you earn your continuing education credits with a groundbreaking approach. Forget running around town and scouring the internet for credit-worthy courses. Fulfill your CE requirements effortlessly by listening to engaging podcasts just like the one you're listening to now. Our podcasts are designed to educate, entertain, and inspire, all in a user-friendly environment. But wait, there's more. Architects, Gable Media is also approved as an AIA continuing education services provider. Upon completion, we handle everything, from reporting your hours directly to the AIA to storing your certificates in your personal Gable Media profile for your self-reporting needs. So follow the link in the show notes and start earning your credits in the most innovative and entertaining way possible with Gable Media.
Attention architects and creative minds, get ready to supercharge your brand with Build Your Brand, the podcast that's unlocking the secrets of branding success for creatives. Hey there, it's Mark Arlepage, founder of Entre Architect, and I'm inviting you to join my friend, architect marketing expert Jeff Ecoles at Build Your Brand podcast, where he explores the captivating stories of the world's top brands and transforms their lessons into powerful moves for small firm architects and creatives like you. In Season 1, Jeff shares the thrilling tale of Southwest Airlines, where he dissects their journey to the summit and distills it into strategies tailor-made for you.
It's important to keep in mind that companies like Southwest compete in the real world, just like you, and face real-world challenges, just like you. You might be surprised at how similar those challenges are to the struggles that you grapple with on a day-to-day basis.
Don't miss out on your blueprint for success. Subscribe, tune in, and let's build your brand together.
You may have noticed that the very best brands in the world are also known for having somewhat unique corporate cultures. That's often the glue that holds everything together when they encounter those rough spots.
We don't do it because it inconveniences the passengers to whom we are primarily dedicated, the short haul, frequent flyer.
Follow the link in the show notes to subscribe to Build Your Brand today. Remember, no matter the size, the journey's the same. Your brand's journey to the top starts here.